Hey folks, this is Jason with the Primal Outdoors channel. Today I am at my shop and I'm doing some testing on the UDPower S2400. Now I like to do some testing on these and run some different devices, so I've currently got my Starlink Mini plugged into it and I have my IceCo APL35 plugged into it. It's a dual zone refrigerator. I have one side set as freezer and one side set as refrigerator, so that way I can put a real world load on the unit and kind of get an idea on how long it will last. I've been running these two units for 6 hours and we'll get to talking about that a little bit later in the video, but right now let's talk a little bit about what makes this power station unique. The UDPower S2400 is a portable power station with a battery capacity of 2,083 watt hours. It weighs approximately 40.8 pounds and measures 15.8 inches long, 9.5 inches wide, and 10.1 inches tall, making it relatively compact for a power station in this class. The S2400 features a pure sine wave inverter capable of delivering 2400 watts of continuous AC power with UDPower's UD turbo technology, allowing peak output up to 3000 watts for startup loads. The unit uses a LiFePO4 battery pack rated for more than 3000 charge cycles while still retaining at least 80% of its original capacity. S2400 also supports pass-through charging, allowing you to charge the battery while powering connected devices at the same time. For charging, the recommended operating temperature range is 23 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, or -5 to 40 degrees Celsius. Alright, so let's get into this unit a little bit and talk about what we can do with this thing out in the field. So to start with, it does have a nice display. Like I said, this is a 2000, slightly over 2000 watt hour system. On the display, you have a very clear indicator of what's coming into the system. You have your main overall percentage, and then all the way to the right, you have your output of what's going out of the system. On each side, you do have some lights that you can control. Single press turns them on. Another press gives you medium power. Another press gives you full power. And if you long press it, you'll go into a SOS mode. Single press turns those off. Down below you have your main power button for your DC ports. That controls everything in this area here. So to start with, you have a cigarette lighter port like typical systems like this have, and just like typical systems, it's a 12 volt 10 amp only port. Now one thing I do notice on this, you do also have some DC 5521 barrel connector ports. Again, these are only 10 amps, but that does give you a little bit more flexibility in what you can plug into the system as far as DC components. You have two USB-C ports that give you a combined 100 watts of power. They're both PD ports. And then you have 4 USB-A ports. Also within this same array of DC components, you have your solar input. And this is also for your car charging. So if you want to be able to plug into your cigarette lighter of your car and be able to charge the unit that way while you're driving, this is also where you would plug in here as well. Again, all of these are turned on and off by the button that's all the way to the left side of the unit. Down below you have all your AC ports. Again, this is a 2400 continuous 3000 watt peak, which is pretty decent for a unit of this size. You do have 6 ports. Now on the top of the unit, which is something that I do like to see on units like this, especially when you got all this flat real estate, is you do have a mag charger. So if you have a phone that's capable of that, you can set it up there and have it charged. I think that's a really nice feature. On the back of the unit, you have your AC in for charging, and then you also have another solar in that has an XT60 port. So as far as charging the unit, as I've already mentioned, there's 3 ways you can do it. You can charge through the AC by plugging in there, and I do like that it is just a standard like computer style plug, so it's not proprietary. But you also can use their cigarette lighter if you want to do that, if you're charging while driving. But you can also, as an extra, you can purchase these foldable panels that UDPower offers. This one happens to be a 120 watt panel. You can connect 2 of these together for 240 watts.
Another useful feature of the UDPower S2400 is the ability to switch between normal mode and eco mode using the eco mode switch on the front panel. In normal mode, the AC outputs will automatically shut off after 4 hours with no load, while the DC outputs will remain active for up to 20 hours without a load before shutting down. When eco mode is enabled, the power station becomes more aggressive about conserving energy. In this mode, the AC outputs will automatically shut off after 2 hours with no load, and the DC outputs will shut off after 4 hours with no load. If you're trying to maximize battery runtime and reduce standby power consumption, eco mode can be a useful feature.
So that's particularly important when you're thinking about what type of appliances you're going to be connecting to it. Specifically like refrigerators. Say you're out and you're camping and you've got your refrigerator connected to this unit, and maybe it's springtime where the evenings still get quite chilly and the days heat up and be fairly warm. In the night, what can happen is the compressor on this refrigerator may not cycle very often, and it may shut off for longer than the inactivity setting on this unit, and that would cause this port to shut down. Come morning, you wake up, it gets warm outside, the unit's off, you don't realize your refrigerator is off, and that's because the refrigerator was off for long enough for the unit to think that nothing was plugged in or hooked up, so it shut itself off. So you really do want to put some thought into that when you're thinking about what devices you're going to be plugging into the unit.
Next, let's take a look at the charging mode switch on the UDPower S2400. S2400 offers two charging modes, optimized charging and fast charging. In optimized charge mode, the power station charges at a lower rate while actively balancing the battery's cells. According to UDPower, this mode helps maintain battery health, improves long-term performance, and can extend the overall lifespan of the battery. When you need the fastest possible charging time, simply switch over to fast charging mode. In this mode, S2400 increases the charging rate significantly, allowing the battery to recharge much more quickly. For everyday use, optimized charging is the better choice for battery longevity, but when time is limited and you need a quick recharge, fast charging gets the job done.
Most of the time, you're going to want to keep it just in the optimize and let it take its time and charge, because like I said, it is going to effectively make the system just last longer for you over time. But hey, there's those times that you're an hour or so when you're ready to leave for camping and you realize this thing is almost dead. You can flip it over to fast charge and hopefully get yourself a good solid charge before you get heading down the road. So one unique feature that you can do with the UDPower S2400 is you can use it as an actual UPS. So if you're using it in your home, maybe have it connected to a computer or other very important appliance, if it's connected in the back to the AC port in and connected up front here to like one of the ports here, it will actually pull grid power and not battery power from the unit itself. But once the grid power is lost, like in a power outage, it immediately connects over to the battery, making it to whatever device is on the unit will hopefully stay up and running and not fail. So right now, notice on the unit, on the display, you can see an indicator saying UPS Prime. In the back here, I'm going to reach back around here and I'm going to unplug from the grid power. And immediately it switched over and that UPS Prime went off. Alright, so I ran that test a couple times. I got to watch the refrigerator to see if there was any blip in power, like it shut off for even a second or anything. Didn't notice anything. Pretty much I unplugged it. It acted like everything was working fine and nothing ever happened. So that's a nice feature if you're looking at this unit for some type of disaster preparedness, or maybe you run a CPAP at night and you want to make sure that the CPAP keeps running even if you lose power. This unit would be able to handle that for you. Alright, so the next test that I want to do with the UDPower S2400 is we're going to test the inverter here. So I still have my Starlink plugged in, still have the refrigerator plugged in right now. We're only pulling about 105 watts, which is really nothing for this inverter. But I do have my heat gun, which should pull quite a few watts, and I do have my soldering iron, which should pull quite a few watts. And let's see if we can push this thing above the 2,000 watts. So first I'm going to turn on the heat gun to full blast, see where we're at. Okay, so right now, just with the heat gun, we are pushing 1600 watts. So I'm going to go ahead now and turn on my soldering iron. We're just not quite getting there. We're at 1700 watts. We need more power. Okay, so we got a portable AC unit. I just did a review on this not too long ago, but we'll add it into the mix because I know that it pushes about 600 watts, which should put us perfectly right over the top. Alright, so I'm turning the air conditioner on now. You guys can watch the screen. So turning the air conditioner on. The air conditioner is running in its normal level about now. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in the heat gun. So I'm going to go to the lowest setting first. The heat gun is now on. I'm now going to the medium setting on the heat gun. The AC is still running. So we are now on the medium setting. We're now pushing 1700 watts. So I am going to go to the highest setting on the heat gun. And at the highest setting on the heat gun, it was unable to run the heat gun and the AC at the same time. Alright folks, so let's wrap up this review on the UDPower S2400. First of all, on the 6-hour test where I ran my Starlink and my APL35 refrigerator for 6 hours, it went from 100% down to 73%. Anyhow folks, I hope this information will help you make a good decision on whether or not the UDPower S2400 is going to be a good portable power station for your particular setup. If it did, please do give this video a like. If you have any more comments or questions about the UDPower S2400, please leave those down in my comments below, and we'll catch you guys again outside.